welcome to The Alternative Investor. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority recently published a draft declaration that defines crypto assets as a financial product under the Financial Advisory and Intermediary Services Act. This means that anyone giving advice or acting as an intermediary, such as a crypto exchange, would have to register as a financial services provider and comply with the requirements of the Fais Act. For more, we're joined by Brandon Topham, who is a Divisional Executive of Investigations and Enforcement at the FSCA. Brandon, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Pleasure.
So briefly describe what these regulations mean for investors and, crypto customers.
Well, going forward, it will mean that the intermediary and advisor has to be registered with us, which will give us level of protection or assurance to the public when they're dealing with these intermediaries. At the moment, anybody can go online and open up wallets and deal with an exchange registered in various countries around the world. Many of them have no regulation whatsoever there, and very often our South African citizens are losing their money because they think they're putting into a crypto asset, but they're actually just giving it to a fraudster.
Talk to me about the kind of background consultations that went into putting these proposals together, especially the work you're doing with the working group that was tasked with looking at crypto assets.
Yeah, various government departments involved in closely related to the Treasury have been working with players in this industry for about 3 years now. It's been more about identifying exactly what a crypto asset is, what are the different formats that they appear in, and what type of functions they serve. And then each of the various departments will have to look at how they are going to regulate a crypto asset in their own right. From our side, we are responsible for looking after the public, making sure that they're dealing with reputable persons and are not being ripped off. And that's why the first step in this is to designate them as in terms of the Fais Act, as product providers.
I can imagine a great deal of research went into putting these proposals together, especially studying what other countries are doing globally. Is there a limit in terms of what regulators can do to protect customers?
Yeah, you can only put so much into place, and then at some point in time, the South African investor decides, well, we know better than the so-called experts in the field, and they will bypass the systems and protections put in place. So we try and protect the public from themselves, but very often that's the real problem. So people tend to know that they're getting into dangerous territory now, but they like something about what's been offered to them, maybe an extra special return, and the greed factor very often comes in and hurts them.
In terms of the FSCA, are there headaches right now that you're dealing with outside of crypto assets that you could perhaps talk to us about? I understand last year Forex was the biggest pain point. What else is happening in that space?
Well, I think right now most of the problems are around people paying for the con using a crypto asset, and the Forex trading platforms still remain a problem. Many of them are unregistered. So, but during the the COVID period, just plain good old-fashioned fraud has been on the rise across the sector.
Right. When it comes to understanding, crypto assets and that entire space, I mean, what is the FSCA doing in terms of consumer education?
Well, once the product is designated as a financial product, it will fall within our program of educating the consumer. So at this point in time, because it hasn't been recognized as a financial product, we haven't bothered trying to educate the consumer about it. But it's clear that, even though we are designating the product as a financial product, we don't think it's appropriate for most people to invest in, specifically not in as a large percentage of your investment portfolio. So you can see expect a lot more in the future from us as to the risk involved in dealing with a crypto asset.
Now, the proposals were put forward on Friday, and customers or consumers, and especially investors, have up until next year, January 2021, to comment. So far, the kind of feedback and response you've gotten from players within the industry.
So far, it's been very positive, but we expected it to be positive because most of the South African players in this field are legitimate. It's the foreign offshore entities that are not going to like this legislation, because we will be pointing the public to the fact that if you do have to invest in this form of an asset, please do it through a FSP to limit the risk that you are getting yourself into. So at least our advisors will be able to advise the people of the risk and the true nature of the underlying product. So we are expecting a lot of support from the industry locally, because they are backing with people of dubious intentions, and they're trying their best to create a better impression of a rather risky investment class, in our opinion.
For those who are watching this interview and who may have unfortunately fallen victim to many of these scams as they relate to crypto assets, is there anything they can do at this point? Or does the Act, I suppose the new regulations, only protect customers once they get approval, say from 2021?
Yeah, but in most frauds, the money's gone once it's left your bank account. And it doesn't change much when it comes to a crypto, just it sometimes moves from your bank account a bit quicker. So they've got to open up a case with the police, and if it's a South African entity or somebody that's based here, there might be some hope for you. But in the majority of cases, the money's left the country, and the chances of you ever seeing that is probably less than 1 in 2 million.
Brandon, on that note, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. That is Brandon Topham from the FSCA talking to us about the new draft regulations that have been put forward by the FSCA.